It's coming down, kids. It's coming down slowly, and the media is making sure to not even bring this up. I mean, I don't know if the kids on YouTube caught wind of this, but we're gonna go through it. And yeah, all this stuff is related to our stuff too. I mean, it's just this group of men, human traffickers. Okay, so the most notorious party house in LA, the one that's most famous, that's housing all these YouTubers, which you've noticed there's been something kind of weird with all that. Yeah, there is. And it's not like we don't know. Maybe you don't know, but we know, and you gotta do a lot of things to get to where you're at. And regardless of where, I mean, it's not just about being in movies and all these other things. These guys literally own everything. I mean, I try to explain this as like they own big companies all over the place, and they're friends and friends and friends with other friends and all this, and you'll see them on yachts, and they put it on their Instagram with half naked girls and shit, and Instagram is targeting women. But as long as you exploit women, that's totally cool. I really love that this guy that owns this house, because he's part of this human trafficking little ring circle here. I shouldn't say little. It's not little. It's like thousands of men. And this has been one of those things where everybody says it. Like, they say it. They're like, oh, she's getting paid because that guy's hideous. Or, yeah, you know, this is what you should expect when you come here into town. Well, that's been human trafficking, actually. So, I mean, did you not put it together? This is something that I had to deal with, and including into my job, because these guys would come in, right? And one of the how they do it, it isn't a thing where they're like, these women wanted it. No, it's a thing like this. It turns into a bargaining. I will beg you until I buy you a house to go do something. And then when you say no, that's never a good thing. And they will make sure they F up your career because they don't like you. Now they have a personal thing. They don't like you. Then they have a vendetta because now I can go, that guy did this, and then they're like trying to silence me because they owned everything. Mark Zuckerberg was up in here. They were outing my name. They were doing all sorts of stuff. I don't trust that son of a bitch as far as I can throw him. This is their friends. This is all of them. This is the mentality. This isn't something where it's like just a few guys doing some evil. So what's disturbing about this is that this old fart went into the house. Like, there's all these kids, right? These young, they're kids to me. They could be my kids, okay? They're like 18. Some of them, I don't know, maybe younger. They're like hanging out because they all want this career, like to be famous on YouTube or TikTok, because there's TikTok stuff going on. And he comes in, this old fart, like, I mean, I know damn well, at that age, me seeing that fool, I would be like, oh my god, he's a creep, dude. Like, what the hell? I don't even care. He owns his house. And you know they're thinking this in some sort of fashion, but they're also thinking this, is that we have to mingle in order to get up into our career, which is true. Like, there's no way around it. They're the gate, how did I call this back in the day? You have to get through the pig gates. I was saying that there's this whole thing of this, and you can't get through unless you go suck someone's, I'm sorry, we're just saying it straight out. And these guys own everything, like everything. This guy owned clubs, the other guy, oh no, they're now, I just love this. I was like going through this thing, and the guy's like, I just want to party. And the cops, if you just read the one single story that I found on this, because the media won't cover it, it's in Canada, because the Peter Nygard, so this is connected to Peter Nygard, so we'll go back a little bit. Peter Nygard is a guy that even Feldman was hanging out with at some party thing for the Hollywood crowd, because the what was it, the Academy, one of the award shows, right, the movie award shows. So he went and bought out, I don't know, I think it was it the Beverly Hilton? I don't know, I brought this up. Whatever, you guys can go research all that. Anyway, Feldman was there. So he's been human trafficking too. So that had him just like, no, these are his buddies. So this, no. And so then, and to sit there and be like, I don't know, I didn't know. Like, as you're like preying on women and pimping them out to other men. The women are saying it. Not the only one. So, this fool here, is buddies with the main guy that was trafficking them around, right? That guy's a billionaire. Billionaires, the thing with billionaires, because they're pieces of think that they're above the law. And that they think that once they get a certain amount of money that nobody can ever tear them down. Like, think that they're entitled to continually just be treated like some king above the law, and that they could do anything and own women. Like, they want to have them as like a harem. Like, they go and they're like, well, I have money, so if I want her, I'm gonna buy her, and if she don't want it, I'm gonna force myself on her, and if she doesn't want to comply, I'm gonna make sure she's not gonna get anywhere in life. I mean, seriously, this is them, and I've had to deal with them, and I can hate them. And so then they start this thing. So they start owning social media. They're buddies with all these people. Then they can do a hell of a lot of damage, and they're friends with each other. So they know, they're like, that dude over there. It's like, of course, they're billionaire dudes. They're like, yeah, we need to get rid of her and not make sure that she can't say this. So she's not going to have any type of career anywhere. Even working on my own. Like right now, they're doing all kinds behind the scenes that is so horrific that it's like, oh, but you could do this. That really makes sense. But they're the ones being in charge of all this. Like, you're seeing these lawyers sitting there trying to make it legal to rape children. It's all them. It's all them. And for government to sit here and try to act like there's some like weird thing going on Backpage, I'm like, no, this is how it isn't a consensual thing at all. And it is very different than someone going, I want to be a porn star today. Like, they want to, like, on their own. Like, no guy sitting there telling them they want to do that. That's a whole different realm, and this ain't it. So they will come into town, wherever they're coming in from, and they see him hanging out with all these famous celebs, right? Because Justin Bieber's all over his website. So Justin was getting busted here. I remember this. This is back in 2014. And then they raided the house. Well, they obviously didn't figure out there was human trafficking victims or any of this other going on here. And he has them plastered all over with Scooter, and everybody was talking about Scooter too. Like, these people are all bad. We all knew they were bad, okay? But Justin also is really young here. So his influences are these adults. So now he's learning some bad behaviors. He's gonna get busted. And along with these other guys, right? There's some rapper dudes. Dr. Dre was part of this. A tank of people, dude. And they all abuse women. Like, it's not like there's no flag of, like, who these son of a bitches are and who's okay with it and who's done things, okay? They're not going to be talking because they're okay with it, and then also they're not going to bust their friends. And mostly if you're part of any gang, they're not going to be outing their little gang buddies. So that's another thing over there. Like, there's all sorts of things in this stew of, like, it is so bad. And it's just like watching this guy. He goes into the house where all the kids are. They're hanging out, partying. They're drinking too, which is going to be bad when you have a predator around. And he comes in, he's just taping them. And then he puts a video up. And they're just like all rubbing on each other. I'm like, girl, oh, good. No, nobody's doing this because they like him. I was like, this is not even it. This never happens. Like, I know so many girls in all different industries. This here doesn't happen because they want to. The thing that happens is because either A, he either paid them to act on camera, or B, they're doing it because he's bargaining some sort of thing, like a being at the house, or some sort of something's going on there that they're thinking either they have to or there's some other thing here. But he puts that video up, and it's just like there's a couple of black young girls, and then he's like trying to talk like he's part of all that, like, I don't know, like he's a teen, like he's totally hip with the kids, and taping them at this thing. And it's like, yep, that's what they do. They make sure they put themselves right into the place where they can get access to any vulnerable person. That's it. It's not not Backpage. Like, they're sitting there going after these random, like, other street crime things where there's something that happens long before even that situation would even happen. But this here wouldn't be going into Backpage. This here goes into their other rich friends onto other yachts. And they're committing crimes on yachts, in their mansions, everywhere. Into other countries, into all these things. And that was the thing. Like, they constantly bargain with me. So they would come up, they would come in their fancy cars and come up and start it with me like, you're great. Like, they want me, right? Because, I don't know if there's just this game because they can't get it, you know. But they start in this thing, and then they'll ask like, we should go on a date, you know, or something like that. It's like you're like this or something like that, and then I'll be like, no, not interested. Then it turns into a whole thing like, I'll buy you a car, you know, I got all these connections. And then they do, but they actually do have these connections. It isn't even, that's not the lie. They do, and then if you go and bite on it, all of a sudden it turns into a thing where they're just trying to turn you out. I mean, sitting there already offering me money is already trying to turn someone into a prostitute. It's like that right there. It's like the fact that even goes through their head that, oh, well, she said no, so if I just pull out some money, you know, and then sit there and get some vulnerable girl who is like, you know, coming into town that's trying to make it in the industry. But these are the guys that you have to pass through. Is there even a way around it? I mean, if you really think about all this stuff, it's like, is there really a way around it? Because it's all of them. It's not just, oh, only a few guys. No, it's all of them. So that's what's been going on. And so what I loved about this story is that they did a whole rundown of this guy, like, years back. And years back, it's like, oh, LAPD and so were watching over him because they were mad about the neighbor thing. I'm like, oh, so if you guys were watching over him, you just totally purposely ignored the human trafficking portions of this and did nothing. That's exactly it. I told you, they're all involved. It's not a thing where they're not involved or they don't know. And they sit there, I thought it was funny because I was like, all the rich neighbors were pissed off at this guy too on top of it. But then the county and the LAPD was like, F you rich people, we're going to protect this guy. Like, it's really that. Why would they protect only him? I told you you're running a ring. And it's not like a thing where they're like trying to like run it like a business. It's just like, he's like, tell these girls, bring them all over, bring all the women over. And so then all these young girls are like, cool, we're going to go hang out, party. So they bring all of the girls over. And then all these gross predator guys start coming, right? And they just start schmoozing with these guys. And they're like, yeah, this guy's a big deal. He owns like, something all in Florida. I don't know. It'll be some bullshit like that. And then they start taking pictures together. They don't know what they're in for here. Because they're really young. And it's going to later, they're coming out. Trust that. And it's horrible when there's so many women involved in this because they will literally go after you if you were like to go and report. Because then it puts a threat on them. There's like a whole thing here that just needs to break up, like, right away. Like, I can't even believe I saw it. I was like, dude, and YouTube's been promoting this whole thing, and in the mix of it is human traffickers. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. I don't know, like, what is their explanation for this? I told you, I go, at the time that we got onto YouTube, there was all kinds of, we're degrading women, targeting them, doing all, the men are making money, right? They're making money. They're doing this here with this house party. And then this guy's raping all the girls. And then they turn around and all the rich men start putting this pressure like, oh no, women are actually coming out about us. So we're going to like take away their money. We're going to do all these things. No, it has nothing to do with the bull that YouTube tried to say. They're trying to sit there and target women so they can't come out and speak and let the people that can abused us and other women not come out and speak about it. Because what they're saying is we're not going to pay you, but we're going to keep paying them. That's what they did. And they're actually enabling this cycle of women, you better expect this because if you don't do these things, then you're not going to get to where you want to be. Oh my God, I can go on and on and on about this story. It pisses me off so fucking bad. Like, I'm just in there going, I've been talking about it for over 20 years. I don't know. I told everybody what is going on. How come it took from this point till now and it's not even in our media, it's in Canada, so we're going to go through it, because I want to go through it, and it happened here, so I'm like, the dude, if you go to his Instagram, oh my God, he called that little guy, I don't know, just go through his videos, they're pretty funky, look at him, and his point of view, and just him going around taping young people, and I don't know what the hell, and then, I don't know if you want to say he's like Charlie Sheen in some way, like, or he's a big party dude. But then he's like, I got these young girls. He talked about it. So I'm sitting there going, the media must have seen it. Because if they're talking about it, they were just like, whatever. they talk about women like they're not human, like they're just like furniture or something. They're like, oh, and he'll just have this woman, the young girl on his side. It's like, do you care how he obtained that girl at all? At all. I'm just wondering. The guy's not a good looking guy. Okay, not most of these guys are not. Most of them. It doesn't even matter if he was, but it's like most of them are not. So do you not question, like, yeah, like the whole thinking of like women just use men for money? It's like, dude, this guy obviously propositioned them in order to get into that situation. Because even if you just saw this guy on the street, you would not even think he's some billionaire. You would think he's some gross creepster that he needs to go away. But this is Peter Nygard's bestie. And then, oh my God, I'm sure his neighbors right now are like, finally. The biggest crimes happen in the rich neighborhoods. This is what I keep explaining. My car was literally taken there. My car was literally taken to Bel Air. My car was literally taken to Beverly Hills. They run drug rings. They run human trafficking rings. They do all this in the rich neighborhood. They got the money to do it. Nobody else does. And why would rappers be hanging out with these guys? You know what I mean? Yeah, the stupid rappers that were trying to get me to go to Beverly Hilton during my situation. Yeah, that was really interesting. So you got this thing. Let's go through it, because I'm a little heated. New lawsuit alleges Peter Nygard directed women to have sex with his longtime friend. And this should be a much bigger story because it deals with the YouTube platform as well. Because this guy is the one that owns that big old house where they keep having those big parties, and he's there at the parties. Like, it's not a thing where he's not there. That's his properties. All those. Lawsuit alleges Daniel Fitzgerald regularly attended pamper party. And mind you, there's other parties like this. I can't say that they're all like some human trafficking ring, because I actually never witnessed that at those other ones. But God only knows, there could be some other side thing that I am not aware of. And that's why it's really important to understand the difference of what it actually is versus government's definition of it being some consensual weird thing off a Craigslist or some shit. That's not it. This is how this happens. This, and the very difference of that nobody actually wanted to do this. It is a bargain thing to get them to do something, and then they get coerced into it, and there's no way around it. It just is. Nobody is here to help your career. Nobody. These men are looking for sex. That's all it is. They're not here to help your career. None of them were. Zero. Oh, I want to help your career without somebody wanting to do some other. It goes, a longtime friend of Peter's, the human trafficking Peter, is being sued by 3 women. So now it's only 3 women right now, because these are the ones that came out. But the bigger, see, when media keeps a story quiet, it's harder for other people to hear it and then to read it and go, oh yeah, that happened to me. So they do this on purpose. Like, the more they can keep the story snuffed down or out completely is helping them all. So this is what's going on. This is what's been going on. This is why Alice gets his ass like covered. His friends are all these old farts like this. Oh my God. I was all Callaway. I was like, there's all these people, okay? That's the type of people. It's just people that own companies, the media, and everything, dude. Like, everything. So it's like they're all friends, you know what I mean? We saw that with Trump and them. They're all friends. Oh, there was some stuff with a couple of these guys. I don't know if it was because I kept bringing up situation of them being friends with these guys, or something else, but yeah, we'll get into that one day. A couple of them are getting busted. The court filing says that Daniel was a frequent guest. Now, mind you, there's going to be more guests than this. There's more guests than this. And he's only one of them that's getting plowed into here right now. So it says, and attended his parties and dinners at Nygard's Marina Del Rey property in California. So that's here. So you would think, hello, California, where is your media? Says, which were used to facilitate and enable Nygard's sex trafficking scheme. But it's all the same. Like, this guy being with them, it's the same. He's trying to get whatever he can. He doesn't care. Like, they're all in it together. It's not even so stupid, dude. And trust that this guy probably was like, hey, I got some other guy friends, ladies. He's like, the lawsuit was filed in California in November 2020. Was it? Wait, we're like months later, dude. Did I even cover this? I don't recall covering this. I don't recall covering this at all because I'm like, there's that YouTube freaking house, dude. So I don't know, dude. I don't even know what to say about it. This is horrible. This happened during lockdown. So it's like, Ann calls Fitzgerald a lot. See, I'm kind of mad because it's like the media. If the media doesn't dig, I told you, they're literally covering their asses right now. The media will go, they'll start taking pictures of these guys, like, with young girls, and they just, like, throw the girls away. They're just like, oh, yeah, he's with some young girl. Like, they don't care that she's 12. Like, they're just like, whatever. So they, like, visually see something. They don't even question it. They're just like, young girls. And then stuff like this happens, and they're just like... It's like, where's the story? This is actually bigger than Harvey. And I was questioning if Harvey was involved in this stuff because of some other things. Now, I don't know if there's any additions with his pals. It's never a thing where it's just one guy nobody knows. Like, this is just stupid. These guys are acting dumb because they all did. So it says, according to Fitzgerald's social media, he is a real estate developer. In the lawsuit, 3 women who are referred to as Jane Doe 1, 2, and 3 allege Nygard forced them to have sex with Fitzgerald, and that Fitzgerald would bring a female companion to Nygard's parties to have sex with Nygard. One of the women alleges in 2018 she was in a jacuzzi with Nygard, Fitzgerald, and another woman. Nygard forced her to be intimate with his friend. Still acting under Nygard's direction and orders, Fitzgerald escorted Jane Doe number 1 to a bedroom and engaged in sexual intercourse with her at Nygard's direction and against her will. And while Nygard had sexual intercourse with the other female provided by Fitzgerald at the time, there you go. Nygard had sexual intercourse with the other female provided by Fitzgerald at the same time. So he's a human trafficker. Like, if he's bringing someone to him, that's what they do. That's what they do. Even when I moved here with that other pedophile, and he's like, you can't have any guys over. You can have all your girlfriends over. I'm not bringing my little minor friends over. You know what I mean? I didn't know anybody out here at the time, but it was like that. Like, they're always like this. And then girls will do it thinking, oh, you know, some girls want to go have fun, you know, and then whatever they do is whatever they do. Even though they just presented them to some total predator adult guy, 50, 60, whatever. These guys are nasty ass. None of these girls, none of them. I don't care what you guys say. They would not do this without some shit going on. So it says the lawsuit said from 2008 until 2018, Nygard frequently traveled to California and stayed at his Marina Del Rey property. It also says that just about every day Nygard was in town, Fitzgerald would come by the Marina Del Rey home for dinner, poker, and commercial sex act. Like, this is rape. I mean, it's just generally rape. And also the gambling thing is involved in this. I keep saying, there's a thing with the gambling that's involved in this because we ended up at a casino. Like, there's this thing, okay, that's involved in poker and all. I did too. They went to San Jose and then they went to Nevada. I was like, yes, they're gambling, they're doing stuff over there. And then they go do stuff over here, and trust there's a tank of security people that protect them. Yes. Trust that. Fitzgerald's primary purpose in coming to Marina Del Rey each evening was to engage in commercial sex acts with one of Nygard's girlfriends or another girl provided by Nygard. In exchange for sex acts, Fitzgerald would always bring a female with him to offer to Nygard. They're both human trafficking pieces. It's not one or the other. This is the thing. I know I did not read that before. I was like, that's not, I said, watch, this is the hot domino. This is the hot domino because I could tell by the way people are acting, number one, and plus all the information that I know personally. But I'm like, this guy can take down a whole house. So I'm hoping for that, actually. So there's a big change. They all need to go to prison. Like, the entire LA County and the government in LA County need to go in prison, dude. Like, what the hell? You know what? Because all this, they keep saying, it's like their businesses bring the county and the state in billions of dollars. They have a money reason, like, not to do anything. But also they're okay with it. Like, the thing of distress is, like, it's not just like, oh, money. It's like, no, we think we have the right to rape a bunch of women and kids, little young girls. This is their mentality. So they have no motivation to stop it. And nor are they going to say anything, because then they're going to be outing each other. It's going to be a thing, but you did this, but you did that. You know, like the Tucker and Matt Gaetz thing, them going back and forth, you know. It's like, hey, don't you remember? Yeah, because they're all guilty. Like, they're all guilty. They're going to be doing all that. I didn't know, and we didn't know this. No, you all know. If I know everything on all this, then you all know for sure, because you're all hanging out 24/7. So, no. Like, I'm tired of it, and I'm tired of the hypocrisy of the media, too, on this. It's like, no, this needs to come forward, so more victims. There's nowhere to go. Like, you're literally stuck. They literally tried to keep me in LA. The cops literally stranded me here while I was illegally here as a child in LA for these perps. Like, it's like, can you explain that? But it did happen. And then my car was like the biggest evidence in this thing of places that they went, which was all rich places. They're all, yeah, we could tell that was stolen, but you're going to pay for it. It's like, yeah, oh, you don't want to go after the people that did it, because you know exactly where that's going to lead to, into rich people getting busted. So you laid that on me. That's how they did it. The LAPD is involved. And you'll notice in this, they didn't bust here either. When they even said, I'm like, you just incriminated yourself again. You knew about the human trafficking from this other thing. Now on this one, you're like, oh, we've been keeping an eye on him. It's like, oh, good. So we know that you at least knew that because you did nothing. Because if you're keeping an eye on him, then you would see, oh, there's these guys coming over and there's a bunch of women. You would literally see this. So, you know, they just keep incriminating themselves of how much they're involved in this stuff. They are. They were flirting with me as a child. So that's another thing. So I'm like, no, they have literally no problem with this. At zero. And this is, Fitzgerald portrays himself as a playboy, entrepreneur, and partier that rents luxurious homes in Hollywood to celebrities and influencers for them to throw parties. Okay, so there's another woman in the lawsuit said in 2009 she was forced to have sex with him on 3 occasions. And Jane Doe number 3 was coerced to engage in commercial sex acts with him against her will. And Jane Doe number 3 have sexual intercourse for his own sexual gratification. During the course of the sex acts, Nygard engaged in sex acts with Fitzgerald's female companion. So it says during the course of the sex acts, okay, yeah. And then it says the lawsuit says Fitzgerald traveled on Nygard's company's corporate jet to South America, the Caribbean, and New York for the purpose of furthering and participating in sex and trafficking ventures. Now, I'm wondering also, this is also turning racist in some way because these guys are abusing some black women. Now, both of them, because there's videos of this fool with a couple of them, and they're really young, and then they're going to South America, and then they were raping all the women in the Bahamas and whatever, and and it maybe that's why there's a lot more to this, because this is dealing with the biggest celebrities that you even know and the most richest men in this area, probably in the United States, and they're sitting there being like, not a big deal. So Harvey's almost probably in this thing like really nothing in comparison to the stuff that I was seeing and dealing with, because they purposely keep pushing this stuff away, and it's a flag. It's a big flag. I'm touching on something far more worse. So we figured this out a long time ago, but it was like this slow game of like, oh, I just thought it was this thing. But then it was like, oh yeah, this happened over here. Oh yeah, and this happened over here. Oh yeah, and then our bosses then made me travel to go over here. And then all of a sudden, you know, they're asking and propositioning me to go. And then all these different things. There was like so many different things that were going on. And it was like, okay, well, once I report it, somebody's going to get in trouble, because the minute I should have, when I reported the job thing, at least at a minimum, is that when they went to do the investigation on that stuff, that they would see, oh, the business license doesn't even match what the job is. You know, like there's all these things, right? And it just was this accumulation of just a million things. And then just some things like this stuff. It's like, yeah, oh no, all these guys propositioned me. Yeah, they tried to get me to do this and that. And they were assholes. And then they just start targeting me at my job and not wanting to pay us. I mean, it just became this thing. And then, yeah, no, I mean, I have so many stories that it's not even possible unless it was just like specifically asking me during a time period, okay, what happened here? And my friends, with my coworkers and things, have even other horrific stories. Some of the people that they knew were just, I was like, why? Why on earth? You know, and they would invite me. I would be the invited girl, right? And then, yeah, no. I was like, that, no. No. I mean, nothing happened to me on those things, but the mentality that was going on there was really bad. Just like this. You know, this whole thing of, you know, we expect you to, oh, no. No, you'd see me running out the door. Mm-mm. Well, everybody knew I didn't do all that, so, you know, if they were to set me up in a situation like that, I wouldn't throw them under the bus. My personal friend, we're not purposely trying to set me up in a situation where this was going to occur. It could have occurred. We're going to put it that way. Not in any other way. They're just inviting, because I think a lot of times, too, is that these girls don't want to be alone. That's another thing, too, because it's like, if they get invited somewhere, you know, some guys they don't really know, but they want to go hang out or something. They don't want to be alone with the creepster. So, yeah, and it could turn into things like this. It just was there. I mean, this is everybody's mentality. There's not one guy that does not have this mentality. I don't even want to hear it. This wouldn't be going on for freaking like 40, 50, 60 some odd years. I mean, it's not a thing where it's just like, oh, a couple of guys, you know. No. And they keep trying to turn everybody out. They just think everybody's a they think all women are prostitutes. Like, this is their mentality. It's like, I'm just going to randomly proposition you like you're some type of professional worker or something. No, that's just the mentality. They think they can just buy you. And then they get some, like, really young girl, and she feels maybe she has to, or, you know, whatever reasons, you know, maybe she's poor, and she sees an opportunity, and this is the way out. You know, whatever the reasons are, but this is what they do. This is what they do. It's exactly what they do. And I don't want to see him creeping around with a camera with a bunch of kids around. He did that. He's like, I have my house. I'm going to bring all the kids to rent out of my house. And then now I get all the rights to go prancing around the property with, you know, 18-year-olds in bikinis. And I'm going to tape them. And she's like, hey, baby. Like, that's what he's doing. I was like, I'm going to throw up. The balls to do this. Like, I would never do. I mean, this is like unthinkable actions from adults. Like, it's just this guy. But it's only one of the two. I'm putting it out there so other people know, and there may be a lot of these TikTokers and YouTubers that are like, oh, yeah, I never wanted to talk about. Like, would you want to talk about? I would not want to talk about this guy. Mm-mm. There's a lot of these guys that I keep talking about that I don't want to talk about. They bring the vomit to my throat. That's it. I mean, they just need a opportunity to where they can see the story, they can understand, like, oh yeah, I for sure was a victim and other people are coming out. And then understanding this, like, what is this? Like, what are you in? Because I'll tell you, like, when I was going through all this, you just think, like, oh yeah, you don't know. Like, it's just this thing. You know things are wrong. Like, you do feel like, it's like, I don't know, you know, this is bad. And YouTube needs to not be bending for the predators, because they're all the ones that are giving you about saying, we're going to remove our ads. Those are them. That's how they do it. That's how they coerce women. That's how they go and they abuse their finances. They're like, we're going to take away all our money if you don't do what we tell you. That's how they do it to women too. They get them into a situation, and then if they don't comply, I'm gonna take away you hanging out at my mansion. And yeah, But they already started off being a predator to get him there in the first place. And then cry about it. And then start making up these stories. I'm a victim. I'm a victim. These women use me. No, no, no. No. No, no. That is not how this is going down. It's going to end, buddies. I was like, it's going to end. I'm just sick of them. I got into so many fights with a bazillion of them in real life. So, I mean, there's a portion of me that's like, I already dealt, like, in real life. Like, some of them just got reamed. Okay, so wait, let me go through this story really quick. The one from 2015 about him, because it's all, Hollywood's most notorious party house has 51 bathrooms, 32 bedrooms, and a lot of angry neighbors. And they have every right to be angry. This shit would piss me off so bad. I mean, this guy is just something else. But rich people give him more money. They enable him. Is this really a guy that you want to give money to? Not me. Only people that have no problem human trafficking women. We know that there's some more going on in here. Yeah, a lot more than that. So this here, I'm just trying to find this portion where, like, it's like the cop, because I think it's the most relevant in between the two, besides talking about him and Bieber. When pressed, the unmarried Fitzgerald, who for years was co-owner of the Century City's massive Century Club, which closed in 2007. In its heyday, it played host to Dr. Dre, the one that beats up women and tries to cut them out of the music industry. Jamie Foxx, the other one that has rape allegations. Ice Cube, I don't know much about him, but and Brandy, who killed somebody driving. I don't know, but freely admits these mansions were built, I don't know, to be a byproduct of his years throwing high head count lingerie parties attended by the likes of Wilt Chamberlain. Now, these lingerie parties are part of our job thing, okay? So, the job was never, ever supposed to have women in lingerie. Never. And I think you have to have, like, a license, I think you have to have, like, a specific thing to have, like, women in lingerie sitting next to men. Some weird crap, because there's, like, these jobs where they have lingerie down, like, I don't even want to get into it. There's all these, like, weird law things. And the job was never to have hostesses in lingerie. Like, it just, like, turned into this thing where they're like, all the women here have to wear it one day a week. And we're like, what? And then it's like, or they're like, you just don't come and you don't get paid. Like, there was this forced thing to it. And it's like, yeah, but you're an employee, so you have to go. So they're doing this. They were totally doing this. They all think they're Hef. And now, I mean, maybe today Hef would be getting arrested for human trafficking. I have some questions about all that, but it's like they're basically trying to model it that way, but there's no consent in this stuff. It's just like by force. And then you see Corey Feldman with that too. Like, it's a thing. It's a thing. It's multi-men. It's not like a single, oh my god, this one ring. I mean, just this one, group of guys here. So then it starts bringing in these other guys, right? So we all know that the 70s were all raping kids and everything else. His idea of living as parties, so he created living spaces that are party spaces. His old Century Club partner, Mark Fleshman or something, the previous owner of Studio 54, founder of local fitness studio The Bar Method. Like, these guys owned everything. That's all. Those lingerie parties were a way to attract rich men to come to his house to look at buying them. So you're being human trafficked and used in all these different things. So it attracts rich men, right? So yeah, all this stuff was to attract these human trafficking pieces. And then it turned into a commercial business of, we're going to use women and rape them and do all this because it's going to bring also money to my pocket by, these houses or whatever. No arrest? Sesta Fawcett. So it was Sesta Fawcett damn well was about protecting these guys 100%. It was created by the rich to the victims over so bad to protect these guys from going to jail. And they did it when they targeted me. That's why I was like, oh, so this whole time, for the past 2 decades or so, I'm talking to you guys, or the decade in which they were getting information from me, and all of a sudden you guys turn your back and let me get targeted and almost die, And then you go throw that out there. I'm like, yeah, yeah. See, you know what happened is that they got, worried here because now government's like, we got to protect our guys because victims are coming forward. Fitzgerald sees himself not as a nuisance neighbor, but a persecuted one. I'm a victim. He acknowledges the more than 90 calls made regarding his home. And then it says the THR independently reviewed call data amassed by the LAPD, but notes that they've led to only a few actual citations, and even those are that's it. So he had like 90 calls, and then the LAPD has to kind of act like, okay, we have to act like we're doing something. We have to act like we're doing something, but we're not going to do anything. That's that. Jeff Dowden, a retired owner of a post-production facility who lives on a ridge facing Weed Lake, counters that the reason so few citations have been given out is that police are so slow to respond. Yeah, they're so slow to respond. Purposely, like, letting people get away. Anyway, it says, with sirens and lights often giving offenders plenty of warning to scram, even when they do arrive in time, says the neighbor law enforcement MO is to provide warnings to individual guests. There you go. Yes, it's a cover-up. And they know that there's human trafficking involved as well. They definitely do, mostly with this guy, okay? So if you're saying this, we all know this is nothing different than what I'm saying. So you know, and then they did this to their buddy too. When I had to call on the police, that they let him know through another means, I guess through a talkie, I don't know, or a cell phone, and he flees, right? So yes, they always do that for people that are in cahoots with them. So yes, to do that is to protect the people for a reason, right? What would be those reasons? Human trafficking. I was like, that whole thing. That's a big old thing with them. Oh, I just randomly attract all the cops. They all want me to live with them, you know? Then they go like this. They go, Frank Fearer, spokesman, Frank Matt Jan, I don't know, notes that the city's attorney office, I told you the DAs there are so pro-rape, they hid all the cops raping the victims. The LASD actually, and this is city's office and LAPD continue to monitor the situation and are in constant contact with neighbors and with Daniel's lawyer. And for his part, says that the standoff, my lawyers laughed at them and said they have nothing. He literally has no fear because they're just all in cahoots. But the city's attorney's office and LAPD monitor the situation. It's like, well, so you missed the human trafficking portion of all this. You're monitoring, so it means that you're looking at stuff, right? They just incriminate themselves, even with the paragraph above where the guy's like, oh yeah, they were giving them warnings so nobody got busted and they can take off. Dude, this thing is such the biggest criminal activity, organized crime. That's why I said I wouldn't call this gangs. It's like in the mafia going on. Like, it's so big. Like, I was like, oh my God. You cannot even call LAPD to arrest these guys because they're doing this. You need to understand. Like, you need to understand. It's pretty foul. There's real estate stuff. FBI, I'm not even talking about none of them. I'm literally done. You guys could read both these stories. Because this one's really long. It's just kind of like the backstory of him for getting in trouble for other stuff. Okay, so he goes, my whole life I've lived in what I was building, lived in the dirt. And that on the Weed Lake effort alone, I almost lost everything 4 or 5 times. Indeed, he was so broke for stretches that he lived with his adult son. And in a progress, I don't know, without power, at times operating the backhoe, tractors, jackhammers he brought to push his project forward. At this point, he insists he'd rather be riding waves on his 8-footer just steps from his $5 million home near Venice Beach or at Malibu's Point Doom or Dumb, whatever. He's like, I quit. I'm tired. How much longer can I surf well and have all these young girlfriends? It's like he started like hinting too about that here. Nobody even cares. It's just like, and at the end they go, Tomorrow he will simply party harder, stretch out his arms farther, and embrace another young girlfriend. It's like she could be 12 and they're saying this. It's like, what is young girlfriend? You're dealing with 2 human traffickers, okay? So, I mean, they just write this story like, but this is Hollywood. Now, Hollywood Reporter was really good at getting on Corey Feldman. This one, not so much. Like, not so much. They didn't really, I don't know. I mean, but there was kind of a slap back in his face about another young girlfriend. I should say, slash victim, possibly. Well, this is Gary. I would have to look at the other one who actually started questioning Feldman, because Feldman was at that thing with Peter Nygard, and then there was a bunch of people there, but there was a bunch of people in this too, so y'all know what is going on. You all do. This is not a thing where nobody knows. You're fine with it. You're part of it. So you guys can read all that. If I find anything else, we'll be back. Like, it should not even be this. Nowhere near this. No woman should be expected to be treated like this, nor an expectation to them in order to be paid on your platform. That's what's going on there too. So this whole thing. Oh, in LA County, by the way, I forgot to add this addition on my other clip. They tried to silence me from even saying anything about my knowledge of somebody assaulting or groping somebody. Like, they literally, well, it's through LA, it's through the county, like, to go do the mediation, because what happened was my lawyer was propositioning me favors of sorts, and I had the proof of it and the email all the way down to when that started out, and I sent it to the state bar, and the state bar is the one that wants to sit there and protect that guy, not put anything on the record, and then let me get into this other situation that which the whole case was like kind of revolved around this like victim and the guy who I'm dealing with. And in the mix of that was this other story about Marilyn Manson's other an asshole over here doing to those people. And I'm sitting there going, they tried to sit there and go, you're not allowed to say any sort of, I'm like, you can go off. I'm the victim in the case, and I could sit there and shred this in paper any day. And you know what the loss would be to me for just speaking about it? The loss of my song. I'm like, you know what? I will lose my fucking song and bury these son of a bitches. Like, that's how passionate I am to make a change into what's been going on here. It's not legal anyway. These people are not even lawyers. But to sit there and have a woman, no. But you're coerced to, because they were holding my music hostage. It's like, oh, okay, so literally other people are paying for this. Like, they were paying for a portion of that. And I'm supposed to sit there and let some guy... this whole thing is so foul through LA County and everything else. So foul with these men. But yeah, so you could actually find out that some of these women are muted, and not specifically to because of somebody assaulting somebody else, but it's included in their musical agreements. Like, they can't, like, it can get into a dispute, and so you can't say anything that occurred for this whole thing. Which I don't know of any attorney that would actually even allow this, but that's been going on. But anyway, they'll try to mute the whole thing, right? So they can't say, oh, while I was, well, they can say, they can break any agreement you want, but they can say, they try to get them where they don't have them say anything like, when I was working with so-and-so, this whole other thing was occurring, because it's included in their legal agreements to shut the fuck up. That's going on too. The system's broken. Nothing is legal because they're breaking the laws all over the place. But you guys need to support each other though, because the only way to get these guys down, you guys all need to band together, because this has got to go. This has got to go. This has got to end. All right, we'll be back.